Hey, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Today, current blood sugar is 7.9, fully calibrated, so that's the best number we could get so far. I have 2.75 units of active insulin left between basal and correction. Oops. That's a different blood sugar at a different time. Excuse me here. Okay. So now I've come down. I went up this morning and now have started to come down, which is an awesome day. Now taking a look here, time in range, 51%, but still 1% that we are in range. So we're working well. 51%, I think I mentioned that already, and 9.9 average sugar. There are some wins. There are some challenges still working out. So who knows what's going on with me? Yes, I could get up and I could run around the block 14 times, except for some peculiar reason, I have issues doing that. Today, I want to discuss keeping up, and we'll be right back to discuss. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Keeping up, that's kind of broad. That could mean blood sugars, that could mean record keeping, that could mean technology. Well, this is kind of a catch-all phrase. It's important that you keep up with the latest information about your disease, your ailment, your imbalance, whatever you really want to call it. Sorry, I have a light over here, just trying to get things taken care of a bit better. There we go, I guess. So, what I really wanted to talk about is keeping up with information. There is so much information, good information, on the internet, but there is also so much internet garbage. I've mentioned this before. There's like cinnamon will cure, it'll lower your blood sugars. It'll bring everything down within range. Doesn't really do a hell of a lot for diabetes care. I've gone through, blueberries. Oh, blueberries were gonna cure blood sugar issues. And I went through a period of eating blueberries. Even like creamskulls, there was a blueberry flavor out there, and I was having that, and my blood sugars kept going up. I don't think the answer necessarily is to one certain food will cure diabetes or type 1 diabetes. If that was the case, we'd have the actual cure. We wouldn't have insulin as a control feature. Think about it. But if you're really interested in control, ask questions. Research books. Probably the best thing to look for help is Diabetes Canada publications. That's probably the best place to start in Canada. If you're in the States, the American Diabetes Association will have a whole plethora of information. For us who don't fall into either of those countries, your national health system would have some. What I'm trying to say is keep up with the latest material, but don't sit there and say, oh yes, I saw this video and they did this and everything worked out wonderful. If it sounds too good to be true, chances are it would be. I'm just saying. So, what do we need to make sure is check the references? Sort of like when you were in high school or college and you had to write your term papers, you always wrote footnotes and where reference books and where information came from. Don't just go off and say, well, yes, I heard it on the internet, so I'm going to do it. That's not going to work. In fact, you're more likely going to damage yourself. That won't happen to me. Yeah, I used to think that way. But treatment plans, cures, pull information from your dietitian, and if you're hearing certain foods will solve all of your diabetes worries, ask questions. You need to ensure that you are the best in your understanding of diabetes. You know, for years, I would open up a package of strips or tubing for my pump, and I would just throw out the stuff that came through it. I never read them. And one day I decided to read them. I found out I was doing stuff wrong. And immediately, after reading it, follow instructions, imagine how I felt when things started to go better. It was kind of like, I could be doing this all the while long. So when I get a new product, I will read through it. For example, my keto meter. I know how to work that inside and out. But I didn't just assume. I took it. I read about it. I practiced with it before it was needed. If you want to try a new treatment option, read about it. If my doctor says, well, we'd like to try X, Y, and Z for your treatment. What do? I research it. I'm not trying to be a doctor. I have a doctor to worry about that. I just want to know for myself, my own peace of mind. And that's what keeping up means. You need to be up on the latest material. So many diabetics get diagnosed and then that's it. They don't care to hear about anything new. And a lot of times these new things make your life easier. Easier? You said easier? Yes, it'll make your whole life easier. I'm not saying you need to read the research papers, unless you kind of like to. But there's an awful lot of good books on type 1 diabetes. My favorite one, which has always been kind of like the jumping point, that I could, oh, okay, yeah, all right, then I'll go look at something else. If the book mentions another book, I go off and I read that book, or the sections privy to what I'm looking at. So often, diabetics, oh, well, that's something I leave for my doctor. They'll know that's the best for them. The problem is, how do you know what you're missing? I've mentioned this a number of times. I had a doctor that I had to come up with questions each and every day of visit. My goal was to stump this doctor. So I'd ask a question. He'd answer and say, how did I do? If I said, oh, I don't know, sounds good to me. No. So now, any of my diabetic doctors, my diabetic nurse, I will constantly come out and ask questions of them. Does X, Y, and Z work for low blood sugars? And you know what? There's been a few times I've stumped them. But their answers, I'm learning. And that's sort of the best thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be teacher-student relationship. You can learn from questioning your doctors. So, research. Follow up on the best treatments. Go use your library card. You don't have to sit there and buy new books. So take it amongst yourselves to do some research on topics, on anything, any part of diabetes you're interested in. You'll learn a hell of a lot. Ask your doctor questions, utilize the library, utilize the internet. Now here are some little rules. I don't know. First of all, if you're using the internet, make sure that anything that says, oh, we have the answers, Big Pharma doesn't want you to know. You know what that's telling me? That's telling me You haven't done any research. This is totally made up. It's not going to work. Second of all, look where the information comes from. What references do they have? 3, double check the information you read. If you've come up with a great idea, double check it with your doctor, with your diabetic nurse, your dietitian. Try to stump them with questions. Remember that? If you're in a library and you're reading from a book, you may want to check when that book was published. How up to date is that material? We need to know where we were and where we need to go. However, an out-to-date book isn't going to help you. So keep up with any area of diabetes that interests you so that you can learn and get the best care for you. Have a great day. We'll talk again. Bye. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.